Hello guys, Termex here, and welcome back to another New World video. In today's video, I'm going over some big changes for us Dexterity players that are going to be changing the way we play in a pretty huge way. Now, with the new PTR launch, with all the different cool things like the Void Gauntlet and all the new stuff coming to the game, there was a bunch of different changes to a bunch of weapons in the game. A lot of these were nerfs, a lot of these were buffs. I have a full link to this article in the description below where this information was given to us. It was confirmed that these are going to be changes. And the first thing I do want to get into is the bow and arrow. Now, the article reads that with the bow and arrow, they want to provide more clarity with the whole bow itself, and they want to make it a little bit more viable. So the first thing that they're going to do is rain of arrows, poison shot, and splinter shot will now indicate that they can no longer headshot, so people aren't confused to why they're not hitting crits with those set abilities. They also fixed several bow abilities not benefiting from increased damage from higher tier arrows. This was a big problem. When I was using my penetrating shot with orichalcum arrows, I was hitting for the same damage as if I was using iron arrows. So I'm kind of curious, is the bow going to be hitting a lot harder now with orichalcum? I guess I'll make a full test video when that comes out. But I feel like we're going to be getting a lot more damage out of this. Up next, they fixed an issue that allowed consecutive primary attacks to be fired faster than intended. Yeah, there was this thing where if you had your bow out like this and you could hold it like this, sometimes you just drop back 3 times and shoot 3 arrows simultaneously. Didn't really get that bug too much, but it's glad to see that it's getting fixed. They're now changing evade shot's go-to distance ability. Let me go take a look at that right now. It says here with that ability that this upgrade now applies haste at the end of the skill's casting time rather than at the start of the animation. So I guess right now when you use evade shot, as you use it, you're getting haste. So by the time you're done with the animation, you only have like 2 seconds of haste. So this is going to fix that. So you have the full 5 seconds of haste after the fact when you do it. Up next, we have poison shot. They reduced the cooldown by 5 seconds. So it's not 35, it is now a 30-second cooldown. And they fixed an issue that could cause poison shot to go on a cooldown without the ability being fired. Thank you for this. Oh my god, dude. I shoot poison shot sometimes. It doesn't shoot the whole arrow because I get staggered or stunned, and then I'm stuck on a 35-second cooldown. It is so annoying. I'm glad they fixed that. Up next, we have rapid shot. Rapid shot's cooldown is reduced from 20 seconds down to 14 seconds. Finally, rain of arrows. They fix it so it no longer hits enemies through doors. Don't know what that means. Does that mean I couldn't hit somebody in a building? I couldn't hit somebody with things above their head? Or does that just simply mean you can't hit somebody that's on the other side of an object? So I'm going to have to test that to see how that all fits into place. And finally, they fixed an issue where hip firing with the bow was triggering the heightened precision passive from the musket ability tree. Is that the ability that reduces the hip fire? Is that what it is? Oh, so apparently heightened precision where you get the stack damage was working on the bow. I guess that's a good fix. I'm glad to hear about that. Up next, we have some spear changes. Oh, yay. My good old spear. I love the spear. I love using it. Awesome weapon. So let's see what we have to go here. They said the goal was to buff some of the lesser used abilities on the spear, as well as improve the modifiers of coup de grace upgrade to sweep. Up next, we have coup de grace, increasing the damage scale from 125% to 150%. If you don't know what that is, it's the second part of the sweep attack right there, which deals a butt ton of damage, but now it's going to do even more of a butt ton of damage. And now that attack is triggered as a heavy attack. It is treated as a heavy attack. So that means any heavy attack buffs or anything are going to apply to that. That's huge. You could be hitting people for some insane damage right there. That's going to help out so much with dexterity players when it comes to killing tanks. I'm excited to test that. I'm really excited to test that. Up next, they got Skewer, increasing the bleed damage from 10% to 20% per tick. I'm completely fine with that. I'm not a big fan of the bleed as it's not really that good, but maybe it will make bleed a little bit more viable. Up next, we got Perforate, increasing the damage scaling from 70% to 80%. This is honestly kind of cool. If you look over into Perforate, it's already a great ability, but I guess we're going to be doing even more weapon damage, 80% per hit. On top of that, we're still getting that 3 stacks of Rend, which is 15% more damage absorption for 10 seconds, which is still completely viable. I guess it's a needed buff, but at the end of the day, it just makes this ability even more useful. Up next, we have Cyclone getting a change, going from 110% damage to 130% damage. Now that might change up some things, but for me personally, using Cyclone is more of a get the fuck off me ability. And I prefer to get them off the ground instead of away from me. But, I mean, if you want to play more range and you're using a bow and a spear, might want to consider using Cyclone with this buff. And now with Vault Kick, they fix an issue to where Vault Kick's cooldown began 1 frame before the hitbox would appear. This resulted in the ability going on cooldown if the attack was interrupted early, even if the kick did not hit. Okay, that's a welcome change. I am glad to see that. Up next, we have changes to the Rapier. I mean, the Rapier, in my opinion, has always been a very, very strong weapon, but I guess they want to make some changes to make it even better and maybe more usable. So the first thing is, there's a lot of fixes. There's a lot of fixes that you guys can read over. I don't want to go too deep into it. None of these look like they're honorary mentions, as it's just kind of like glitches with cooldowns and frame issues. If it was anything important, I'd let you guys know. I just want to waste your time with it. First up, we have Flurry, which had an issue to where subsequent attacks would frequently miss and be hard to hit. So they're improving the homing on the attack, so it's more viable to hit your target. And I think what they mean by this is if you put on your spear, right, not your spear, your rapier, when you do this, it's very clunky getting around and moving your field of view when you're in that attack. So I think they're going to make the homing to where maybe it has like an auto lock onto a target if they're close enough. So maybe it'll be a lot easier to hit that, but most of the time I riposte and then do that. So they're standing still anyway. But I guess this is more for moving combat than anything because it is more catered to dexterity players. Up next, we have Tondo, the reduced cooldown from 11 seconds to 6 seconds. And the And Again ability had an issue that only fixed it when it was on blocking targets. So okay, that's fine. I don't really use Tondo too much. If you guys know about Tondo, let me know. I imagine Tondo is over here for the bleed. And I guess it's going to have even a shorter cooldown, so it's going to be easier to stack your bleed damage because that's basically a 50% cooldown reduction, so we might need to watch out for bleed builds. And now the biggie, Riposte. Riposte is getting changed from a 20-second cooldown down to a 12-second cooldown. Holy crap. 12-second cooldown. That's pretty interesting. But that's not where this ends. On top of that, the base stun duration is increased from 1.5 to 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 2-second stun, but no. There's more. The upgrade increases the stun duration to 2.5. 2.5. So you're going to get 2 seconds over here, base, plus another 2.5. That is a 4.5 second stun on the Rapier. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. And it has a shorter cooldown. But on top of that, that's going to open up a lot of different defensive capabilities for light armors because light armor still ain't the best thing. You're not tanky. And this will allow you to gain ground, maybe use it to your advantage to switch to a spear, get some hits in on your bow. But I think a rapier is going to be a must-have for dexterity players after this buff. Other than that, it looks like momentum got a buff. One of the passes, which is momentum, yes. So instead of 25% increased damage on your next light attack or heavy attack after performing an ability, they're going to increase this to 30%, which is a nice welcome change. That little 5% damage will help out quite a bit. And honestly, I think it's a good change because this 25% is kind of underwhelming for a capstone. And now finally, we are going over the musket changes and buffs. The first thing is the traps. The traps will no longer be triggered by players in Death's Door. So, Death's Door. I don't know what Death's Door is. I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm stupid. Death's Door is basically when you go down. Apparently, downed players were triggering traps when they weren't supposed to, so I guess that's the only trap change we got. But, you know, onto the Sticky Bomb. They are increasing the damage from 175% weapon damage up to 235%. I welcome this change. Not a lot of people use Sticky Bomb. It's very hard to execute, but if you can throw that in a group of enemies, you are probably going to be doing some big boy damage. I'm curious to see what people could come up with, and I'm excited to see some new abilities on the musket instead of burning shot and shooter stance. Stopping power is getting a 3-second cooldown decrease from 18 seconds down to 15 seconds. Power shot is also getting a cooldown decrease from 15 seconds to 12 seconds. And so is shooter stance from a cooldown decrease of 20 seconds to 18 seconds. And on top of that, they added additional options to exit the shooter stance pose. It ensured that the player will return to the standing stance after exiting the stance, because apparently there is a bug where you would be prone and stuck in the prone animation. I never experienced that myself, but I'm glad they fixed it for those who have. And it looks like they are addressing an issue that caused your musket to constantly reload if you dodge rolled or auto ran. I'm hoping, I really hope that helps everything with the musket, because I hate dodging, reloading, stuck in the animation, and my gun won't reload. So I hope that fixes that. And the final thing for the musket is they increase all musket damage across the board by 2.5%. Maybe this will help it keep up with the bow, but at the end of the day, I think the bow should be doing more damage than the musket because the musket is easier to use. It has hit scan, and the bow has drop off. It has actual projectiles, so I think you should be more rewarded for using the bow over the musket, but I'm not going to complain about the musket getting buffed whatsoever. I think it's very welcome. And now they do mention one thing about equip loads in these notes. They actually mention increased healing bonus for light equip loads to 30% from 20%, and increase the healing bonus for medium from 15 to 15 from 10. So it looks like light armors are going to be easier to heal, so 30% bonus damage and healing. But I'm hoping this means they fix the healer bug to where people that are using light armor actually get 30% bonus healing on their life staff. If that is the case, you're going to see a lot of light armor healers, and I think that's a healthy thing for the game, because healers right now with the whole paladin meta and how easy that is, I'll make another video on that because they kind of nerfed paladin really, really hard. But that's for another video. You could probably watch that video after this one because it'll probably be up by then. But overall, all this stuff sounds very promising. Do I think more people will swap over to light armor dexterity? Honestly, yes. I think this is enough changes and buffs for people to say, maybe these are worth using. Maybe I should try something new. But at the same time, all this is dropping with the Void Gauntlet, so the Void Gauntlet might take, you know, the spotlight for a minute, but I feel like if you want to transition into this playstyle, or at least give it a shot, now's a good time to do so. With all these buffs, I don't know if they're all going to be permanent. I think Rapier Riposte might get a little tweak back, but maybe it's here to stay and it's going to be a very good defensive weapon. But other than that, I just want to make a video about all of these dexterity changes and buffs and all the important things coming. So you guys are excited. Hopefully your favorite weapons got changed in some sort of way. There's a bunch of other weapons that got changed, but I wanted to cover the dexterity ones because I know you guys love dexterity, and dexterity is just the way I play the game, so I love telling other people about it. But like I said before, all the patch notes are in the description below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys leave a like on it, as it helps me out a lot. Make sure you guys subscribe so you never miss out on another video from me. And yeah, you guys have a terrific day, and I will see you guys later.